Good morning, viewers at home and around the world. We're happy to be back today on Health Matter. And with me in the studio today is an expert in the field that we're going to treat today, substance abuse. Methamphetamine, the new monster in town. Okay, I have the pleasure of having with me in the studio this morning a consultant addiction psychiatrist by name, Dr. Jumoke Koyejo. She works with Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Yaba here in Lagos. So she'll be talking with me. She'll be treating the topic substance abuse. And of course, we'll be laying emphasis on the new monster in town, methamphetamine, the so-called Mkpuru-mmiri ice, and another number of street names that people know it with. Okay? So I'd like to start by asking her to tell us what is unique about this particular drug that our youths are abusing with such a high level of, I don't know, it's so rampant in our society today, particularly the southeastern part of Nigeria. I know it's a global phenomenon, okay, but what is unique about this particular methamphetamine? Okay, so let's start from there, ma.
Yeah, thank you very much, and good morning, all our viewers. A big greetings from my medical director, Dr. Jumoke Koyejo, the medical director of Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Yaba, and from my association president, International Society of Substance Use Professional, Dr. Martin Agogo. Well, we'll be talking about substance use disorder, and the rest like that. And I wonder why, what did you call it, Mkpuru-mmiri, methamphetamine is becoming an issue now, because there are several substances of abuse. But let me answer his question. Methamphetamine is a synthetic psychoactive substance.
Okay.
That is made in all these funny labs, clandestine labs. So that means the people that make them, they're not illiterate. They are literate and they just want to cash out. They just want to make money. So, you know, and they make it so much more that the pleasure you get from it is 20 times the type of pleasure you get from any natural thing you might engage in. So you can see the huge satisfaction people get from it. Another thing, for me, the satisfaction is just temporary, and they keep wanting it back. They like that feel, and they want it to continue. And it becomes a problem at that point in time. So you would really have to know that it's something that really affects the brain, that affects functioning. When you use psychoactive substances of abuse, they affect the brain. You can't even make right decisions. There's impaired judgment. And so when you talk about impaired judgment, it's not just about doing abnormal things. Psychoactive substance can be linked to every crime. It can be linked to several decline in functioning. It can be linked to robbery. It can be linked to decline of school functioning, and what have you. So, and there are several of them out there. So not just Mkpuru-mmiri, not just ice, not just methamphetamine.
Thank you very much. Now, looking at the background of methamphetamine, okay, as a matter of fact, methamphetamine was discovered in 1919 by a Japanese scientist. It was discovered from extract that was gotten from a plant called a Fedra seneca shrub. Okay, so it came from a ephedrine, methamphetamine-like drug. Of course, it was discovered, and they discovered a whole lot about this drug, its psychostimulant nature, as well as what it can cause. And over time, it was used as a form of amphetamine, was used as a form of agent for treatment of nasal congestion, used for treatment of asthma in the 1930s and 1940s. As a matter of fact, it's a drug that was said to be widely abused during the Second World War by the soldiers, Allied forces and Nazi or whatever. And of course, recently used in Afghanistan and Iraq wars by soldiers because of what it does. It increases the wakefulness. It helps you to keep awake and all of that. But today, that drug is being abused very badly. And just like the expert has said, they can easily be made from readily available substances in some clandestine labs that can be found in and around our environment, and very cheap. And of course, today we've been told that the degree of addiction that you can get from it is 10 times more than what you can get from cocaine and all other similar drugs that people usually abuse. But this morning, we'll be laying emphasis on prevention, prevention, prevention. What should we do to prevent this new monster that we have in our nation today? Okay, I can tell you that a good number of communities have resorted to some form of treatment to ensure that they deter members of their community from indulging in such illicit drugs. Of course, that range from flogging to tying and doing all sorts. But can that be a solution, man? What should we do?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll start by telling us that it takes a village.
You can see some of the pictures on our screen.
Yeah. These things won't work. I really want to thank the Mr. Flogger, if there's any, if there's any English like that. But it won't work. It takes a village to start this problem, and this same village would have to solve the problem.
I agree with you.
Yeah. And I will start by telling us that, when somebody is diagnosed diabetic, let's for an example, you don't call a family meeting and say, okay, what will you not eat? What will you eat now? You don't eat sugar. No. You send the person to an hospital to see the experts to help this person. Substance use disorder is a medical problem, is a biopsychosocial problem that needs experts to sit together to solve. And how do we prevent? I want you to don't look at prevention in terms of don't use. Don't use is the last form of prevention. Prevention can be seen as in the area of demand and supply. So when there is no demand, there won't be supply.
Of course.
That's an established fact. When there is no demand, there won't be supply. Another thing I want you to know is that supply suppression, NDLEA is doing so much work, and we really have to appreciate them. Little staff to so much work. But when it comes to demand, that's where the whole lot is, so that people will not even want it. Another way of looking at prevention is in the form of universal prevention, selective and indicated. Universal in form of policy. Policies that come out, policies the government would, is it enact, or what do you call it now, that would really help the populace. And that's the front thing. And I want to, permit me to say this, Dr. Batts. I've noticed that once Lagos State does something, seven states that I'm sure of will just copy and paste. So I really want to call on Governor Sanwo-Olu that, look, policies are important to help the country, to help the nation. Lagos State has 23% prevalence. So Lagos State has the highest prevalence of psychoactive substance use and disorder in Nigeria. So there is no escape for Lagos. And what are these policies? Policies as cheap as no more sachet drinks, availability, accessibility. You cut that off. Increase the tax on those psychoactive substances. Collect money, so it would force people to reduce the volume they would take, and it would not allow young children, to start taking early. Increase the age at which people can start consuming. You have to be this age. Anybody that sells to you is in trouble. Or even you yourself, that once you are caught, you are in trouble. And somebody said that it won't work. Somebody were talking with them, said, how will I catch that market woman from not selling? If you catch one of them and he pays the fine, and he goes back home and he sees his colleague selling, he'll be the one to call the attention of the government to that. Look, that man sells. So once there are policies don't cost so much.
That can cut off the supply.
That can force people to reduce their intake. Those are the first steps to put in place. 300-meter radius of a school, there shouldn't be anywhere they sell those substances.
Now, we've talked about the illicit use
yes.
of illicit drugs. What about the illicit ones, like alcohol?
Yes, increase the tax on those ones.
And of course, the age.
Yes, and the age at which you can consume.
Okay, so what are the roles of our families that families will have to play, the communities? We've talked about that of government.
Yes. Okay. So now, prevention has to be, there's family prevention, media, there's school, there's environmental, there's community. Simple things families have to do. Let me tell you something. I've seen a number of patients that tell me that they started using psychoactive substances from their father's bar.
From their father's bag?
Yeah, bar, that's
okay,
bar.
Bar,
That's
bar,
drink,
bar.
what do you call it? It's bar.
In the living homes?
Yes, at home. It's bar, you call it. And that when you know, parents glamorize those things in a way. Let me explain this to you.
Not knowing the consequences that could follow from
when
them.
An important person comes to your house, you tell your son to go and bring that expensive alcoholic drink from your bar and you serve. And there's this horror glamorizing around that person. And this guy feels like, I too deserve this sometimes. And he goes to start drinking. So if you have to take, I don't know, maybe you have to be discreet a bit from your children. And you know, someone said that monitoring our children, I told you it takes a village. So the family cannot do it alone.
Still with respect to family, at what age should we consider our children, at what age should we start passing across this information about substance abuse to them? At what age? Okay. What age should be seen as the right age? Okay,
thank you very much. The age of onset can be as low as, let's scientifically 13. Yeah.
Okay, because some of the statistics I saw in the US, from 12 years,
yes,
children as young as 12 years have started
years. That means prevention has to start before that time. There's this study, in school prevention, you teach children life skills. These are established studies that have proven to work for substance use prevention. You start teaching children from grade 3. That's grade 3 is like primary 3, primary 4. Self-esteem building, social skills, refusal skills, coping with stress. And you'll be shocked that, you know, naturally people just assume that children should pick up those skills. But now school curriculum is changing to include those things in the training we give our children in schools. So school is not more about what is physics, what is chemistry, what is maths, or what is English. You teach them social skills that would really help them. And you can imagine teaching a primary 4-year-old self-esteem building, not pride now. Please don't let us get it wrong. How to build your self-esteem, how to socialize, how to cope with life challenges, how to, you know, these are...
How to deal with peer pressure.
Yes.
We have said that drug abuse prevention will start with education. And of course, this education should happen at a certain number of levels: family-based drug prevention, school-based drug prevention, community-based drug prevention. And of course, we have in the house today an expert, consultant addiction psychiatrist, who has been telling us what we need to know. There is a role that government agencies, our policymakers, are expected to play. And of course, there are roles that members of the community too are expected equally to play. And of course, with that, I'll be opening our phone lines today. Okay, so the numbers to call will be shown on your screens. Okay, if you have a comment or a question to make, please call us and let's have your say. So you were talking about family-based prevention, and then we moved over to school. What about the communities?
Yeah, thank you very much. Like I told you, it takes a village to cause this problem, and the same village would solve the problem. You know, in the area of community, community would work more with policies of the government, and they would be the one to enforce those policies. You know, there's this belief that my children are safe. Okay, the children that were in Ogudu, safe children, I don't know, okay, maybe we should not use that one.
Okay.
Imagine a drunk driver. Drive to eat your car. So if the next person is not safe, you're not safe.
Exactly.
So don't think you are safe. How about your grandchildren? So the whole idea is, when those rules come out, when those policies come out, it's the work of the community to actually enforce it, to find a way to cooperate with the government to help in those things. You know, I was telling you about those flat sachet drinks. So even school children with as little as 100 naira, 50 naira, they can buy. It's in fact, some African countries have banned them, and we're actually waiting for Nigeria to do the same. I think they're in the process of doing it now.
Because I realized that some of those hot drinks are now being sold on sachets. I think over a period of years ago, you have a whole lot of them.
Yes, now.
Small sachets that
Yes.
people can easily buy. And of course, there are people that even hawk it. Some vendors hawk it and sell it in a number of motor parks and a number of other places like that.
So it's available everywhere, and it's cheap. So these are type of things that the community, the government would work on to stop, and it reduces availability and accessibility. When you stop those and you increase the tax, then people would be forced to drink less, and you increase the age at which you can sell to someone. At the end of the day, it has a way of preventing people from using. You know, when we talk about substance use, it's not even the licit one. WHO has said that there is no safe volume of alcohol. I'm sure people like my patient will say, Dr. Koyejo has come now. She wants to spoil our 5G. But you know, the point is, it's about science. It's not about what you feel. And those are the things we should lay on the table for you to know. And government should help us one way or the other. You know, I was going to tell you that, look, there are experts in school prevention in these Lagos states that are teachers. And they know it so much. We did the course together. And you're like, wow, these people are good in this thing. And these are people that I believe the state should use. The commissioner of, you know, we should just come together and save our country, our nation. If you see those people that are being beaten, the Mr. Flogger flogging them in the East, they are young men. And it's like you are destroying the future right now. So we really need to sit down to think about, to bring in experts to the table and let us work out how to make this thing work. Policies, you know, policies like it's a crime not to go to school. Maybe till JSS 3, you must go to school. And that means the government will do its homework anyway, because the school must be available. And even the type of schools they go to, school policy, school climate. I'm sure you've seen some 3-bedroom flats, nursery, primary, and secondary school in a 3-bedroom flat these days. I'm sure you've seen them around.
All in one place.
All in one. And I'm sure they are planning to even add university to that 3-bedroom flat now. And somebody sits in an office and approves those 3-bedroom flats schools. What climate are these children? You know, even children that would leave class and go and play ball is part of education. Those school exercises, these are things that would, by the time the child plays football till 4 p.m. and goes home, you can be sure he will go home and sleep. So we really have to sit down and think about it.
Apart from families, schools, what about the workplace? What do we need to do in the workplace?
Workplace and media. Let me talk about the media. Responsible media reporting. It's very important.
Sorry, let's take this.
Okay.
Hola. John from Plateau. Good morning, Mr. John. Good morning, Mr. John. Are you there? Okay. Hopefully he will call us back. You can continue, ma. Workplace, media.
Work with media. Responsible media reporting is very, very important. You can't be glamorizing shisha. You can't be glamorizing all these things and expect children not want not to want to try it. And the process of trying it, they get addicted to those substances. So, you know, what, growing up as a child, we would watch, well, I watched NT, but I don't know which one you watched. And we start at 4, and you watch debates, and you watch school programs, and you watch that, you know, that.
Let me pull you back a little. What are the dangers in that shisha? It seems to be the...
In thing now.
Yes, it's so fashionable these days. There's hardly any joint you can enter at night, and you won't find people, youths, gathering. Bello from Adamawa, good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Doctor. Well done.
Yeah, thank you very much.
For the good work you're doing.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
Yeah, yes. My contribution is just to add to what your colleague has said in respect to selling alcoholic drinks in leather bags.
Yes.
Now, because in smaller countries, I've been in Uganda for 5 years, and they don't sell alcoholic drinks in sachet bags. It is highly prohibited, and they don't even allow underage to buy alcoholic drinks. The laws there are so enforced, and if we could borrow from some of these smaller countries on enforcement of such, it will go a long way in also contributing in reducing the impact of this alcoholic drinks and what your colleague there is saying. That's just my contribution. Thank you, and keep the work going. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you very much. He has made a very important point there.
I agree totally.
Enforcement. And of course, our law enforcement agencies are the ones that are expected to do this work. Okay? But what we have this day is that members of community are resorting to self-help, if I may use that word. Now, you can't blame them. They are doing what they consider the best that they can use to stop the growing menace of this substance abuse that we presently have in a number of almost all over Nigeria. Last week, we said that Nigeria was regarded as the headquarters of drug abuse all over the world. That's not so good for our image. Okay, so we need to start doing something at the family level, at our workplaces, at communal level, engagement, religious organizations, leaders of communities, non-governmental organizations, all hands need to be on deck for us to curb this growing menace, or at least reduce it substantially, even if we can't eliminate it completely.
I agree totally.
Now, talking about government enforcement, what do you think they need to do along that line?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Because this is the approach must be multifaceted. It doesn't have to come from one angle or one direction.
You know, when you talk about, we just talk about enforcement now. It just came to mind. I saw one policeman. In fact, there was this video that I saw of a policeman that was drunk. And you see a whole lot of them. So these are people that are meant to enforce. And they are literally the ones using. You know, I've been to, there's a place somewhere in Mushin that my church goes to, and I was told to come that an expert should come and talk to them. When I got to that street, believe me, I couldn't get down. Everywhere was just in flames, Indian hymn. I was like, wow, I can't talk to these people. And of course, I see uniformed men there, even in uniform.
Okay, we have Amara from Lagos. Good morning, Amara.
Good morning, doctor.
How are you today?
I'm fine.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I want to appreciate you and your colleague for this wonderful topic. I really appreciate it. I'm preparing for work, but when I saw this topic, I have to stop a bit.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Mkpuru-mmiri and the other substance that they are abusing these days is really killing us, especially with the youth. Funny enough, ladies do take it now.
I agree.
If you see the way they consume it in Imo State and Anambra, this is our Eastern region, he will cry. I watched a video of my village, where all those guys, small children, they are taking it, and there are these slugs there. I really appreciate this topic. I wish everybody can watch this. I really wish they can watch it. It's a wonderful program. I appreciate you a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You said it all. Thank you very much.
We're talking about shisha.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Shisha.
What are the dangers? Yes, because I need to know.
You know, shisha, number one, have you seen those shisha, the way they display them in supermarkets now? They glamorize them so much. And
some
in parties,
of them painted in gold,
yeah,
silver, so attractive.
Definitely. And when you go to parties in Lagos now, of course, when the first party goes, the party for all, by the time the second party is coming in, they bring it out on all the tables. And it becomes a norm. And
is it addictive?
very, very. They put all sorts of things in those shisha, pots.
So more or less concussions.
The concussions, methamphetamine,
Wow.
tobacco,
Wow.
cannabis, that's Indian
Wow.
hemp, and the rest of it.
And somebody who may not know will see others. Talking about peer group, will see others doing testing the microphone, 1, 2, 3, and I want to join them.
And, you know, so those are places that government policy has to come in. Now they are forced the cigarette companies to put pictures of diseases of that cigarette could cause on their bottles, on the packaging. But shisha is coming. An hour of shisha is equal to 100 sticks of cigarettes.
Wow.
And now people don't even put only tobacco in the pots. They put all sorts. And there's this belief that because it passes through that fluid liquid that has removed the dangerous thing. It's a lie. So there is big problem around. And when you go to supermarkets now, they are selling it everywhere. So you're just wondering, are there no laws to protect the community?
We have Bobby from Lagos. Good morning, Mr. Bobby.
Yeah, good morning, ma. Good morning, madam.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. I want to talk on the subject about the alcohol and the drugs. Seriously, the issue about this is not standing or whatever about the sachet drugs. The issue is, if you should go to Oshodi, just down there, yeah, you will see several security like police and all that. So the amount of area boys smoking outside, they are not even against it anymore. Smoking in a house is very bad. Like they are not scared of anyone. In the broad daylight, they can actually just take a stick of anyone. So there are many things. You should just go to the root of this issue, not something you just need to just solve a little bit for some years and just leave the rest. So let's go to the root. There are so many things that need to be done. So that's just it.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you very much. Talking about the roles that government need to play.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me read out some of the complications that can come with this substance abuse, with emphasis on methamphetamine and others. Okay, so the complications that can occur include seizures, stroke with permanent deficits, coma, acute coronary ischemic heart disease, an infarction, that's the so-called heart attack, can occur, myocardial infarction as a result of substance abuse. Congestive cardiac failure is a possibility. Ventricular arrhythmias, abnormal heartbeat. Psychosis, some of them are already on the streets. And of course, death. HIV and viral hepatitis are prevalent among such drug users.
So do you know why that is prevalent?
I know. Poor judgment. Apart from poor judgment, I understand that it also increases sexual appetite. Yeah. And some of those funny videos that we have seen trending, you see some of them making sexual movement and all whatnot. It's a whole lot of destruction that is ongoing. Yeah. And of course, the so-called colloquial meth mouth, okay, that has to do with the damage that this drug abuse can do to our oral health. Okay, recently I was opportune to take care of a patient that was indulging in drug abuse. A 65-year-old man, okay, he was hospitalized in our center. And I could see all of these signs and symptoms in just one single individual. The teeth were messed up, colored, all the things that we have been talking about, periodontal disease, gum recession, gingivitis, they were all noticeable in this man. Everything that we have talked about. So it's not just the youth. It cuts across all ages.
Definitely.
Okay, so it cuts across all ages. Of course, skin infections too can occur. Okay, because it does a whole lot of damage. It dries up our saliva and does a whole lot of damage to the human body. So we are still on the dangers of substance abuse, the dangers of drug abuse, what we need to know, what we need to do. Okay, so today we were able to come, we want to show our viewers the test kit, what it looks like. Every hospital should have this, okay? I would like to give it to the consultant addiction psychiatrist to please explain how this can be used. Thank you very much. I know a number of schools are already making use of stuff like this, but the question is, after dictating who's abusing this or abusing that, what do they do with the information they get from that?
Yeah. It's, well, for schools, like I said, what do you do when you've tested a child? But I would encourage parents to go to the nearest private clinics to them, or, you know, of course, Yaba Psychiatry does this, just to screen whether this child has a behavioral change, sudden change is using. It's a very simple test. You put the urine in here, and when you are taking the urine, you follow the child, because they just give you clean water. So you really have to, because that's for our patients, somebody follows them to the bathroom to be sure that you are getting the real urine, and not someone. So
for a boy, should be followed by a boy, a female followed by a female.
Yes.
Okay.
Because they could just, it's important. And you just place the strip in it like this, and you're careful that it doesn't touch this plastic panel, and you bring it out for like 1 minute, and you can easily read what is in here, whether it's positive or negative. And it's a very simple test that...
and of course, it has all the drugs. This is a 12-panel kit.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can see meth, of course, that should be methamphetamine, and a number of others, differently coded. 6 on this side, 6 on this side. So this can actually tell you what drug that your child or younger brother or elder brother or even father or even patient is abusing. And of course, you can take it off from there.
Yeah.
Okay, so because you need to find out, and to do that, you need to take the child to the proper place. And of course, that is the hospital. The hospitals around you. Okay, you don't need blood sample. There's some other investigation that you require blood samples and imaging investigation. That is for people who are undergoing treatment. But for at least to have an idea, you just need urine and nothing other than that. Okay, now let's talk about, that's an aspect I want you to touch. People who abuse these drugs have been found to be violent. I've read 1 or 2 accounts where somebody got home and hacked one of the parents to death. Of course, we know they have impaired judgment and all that. These people are usually violent. How do we take care of, how do we get them into the hospital from that point? How do we retrieve them from our communities? Because there seem to be so many of them now that are taken to this addiction. So what I'm trying to ask is, what is the method? Do we need to involve the police to use some degree of force to arrest them and then bring them to the hospital? Because that is why communities are beginning to do it their own way. What should be done from that point?
Okay, thank you very much. Patients become violent, become overstimulated because of this substance use. And, well, where the patient is, people around, able-bodied men could actually grab the patient and hold on to the patient and actually force the patient to the hospital or the clinic or the nearest clinic where you want the patient to be attended to. So sometimes, because you don't want to call the police to bring a gun or something to this patient, it's just that it's just overstimulated. Okay. So laymen around could actually just try to muzzle this patient and hold him, because it's dangerous to even himself and others. And so just to hold the guy and take him to the hospital. So you don't really need flogging, you don't need to chain anybody. Just hold on to the person and bring to the hospital. And of course, doctors know what to do. So it's not any rocket science anywhere. And, you know, sometimes I heard about a patient that killed both parents.
Usman from Abuja. Let's take Usman, please.
Okay.
Good morning, Usman.
Good morning, doctor.
Yeah, pleased to have you.
The last explanation I did not understand. Can you assist me, please, to come over?
What explanation, sir?
In terms of that testing on urine.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now, the kit we have, we just brought it so that people can have an idea of what it takes to test for substance abuse. It's not complicated, okay? This serves like a receptacle. This serves like a receptacle. It actually has an opening. I don't know if it can be visible from where you are. So it has an opening, okay? Now, what happens is that you get just a little quantity of urine. But just like the expert has explained, you must supervise the person that is producing the urine. So that it doesn't produce and probably mix it with water. Okay, so take a look at it. It has an opening here. So this kit will go into this opening. So this is where you pour the urine. And then you dip this, ensuring that it does not touch the base like this. Okay, so it touches to a certain level. Okay, you wait for some few minutes, and of course you bring it out. And then the result will show here on those columns where you have white patches. That's where you have that's where the result will show. Yeah. Okay, 6 results will show on this side. Behind it also, you will still have about 6 results. And of course, it has all the substances that can be abused in our environment: cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, tramadol, and what have you. Okay, and it doesn't cost so much. A number of hospitals, and all hospitals should ideally have this, okay, in their lab, so that people can easily, in fact, as a matter of fact, anybody that is caught driving roughly on the road should be held and tested.
Simple breath test.
Yes. And we need to be practical, okay? Yeah. So we need to be practical about it. Abroad, okay, I asked that question so that for the benefit of our viewers, abroad, once you are found to be abusing drug, the first responders can grip you, sedate you, inject you at that point without needing to get a consent. Okay, but we are not saying we can do that, because we are trying to talk about the things that are doable in our own environment. Okay, so people around, members of the communities, can actually grab and restrict these people and take them to hospital, and not the village square where they will be tied and flogged and flogged. That on its own does not solve any problem. Now, when we get to the hospitals, what needs to be done? Because oftentimes people say that it is not treatable. There's no solution. And of course, that's why they are resorting to self-help. So what can be done at the hospital?
Well, you're asking me the whole of addiction treatment. But the point I want to tell us is that the first responders have a whole lot to do. And they should just do basic screening to be sure if this person is actually using psychoactive substance or not. Because sometimes it's just pure psychosis. And once you're sure that this person is using psychoactive substance, the person is still dangerous to himself, you could even sedate the person and let the person calm down. And afterwards, you start main treatment. You know, it's just important that people are caught on time. It's important that people know that, look, then the first responders, which we think should be the private hospitals and every hospital around, should be able to profile the patient and say, like, this one has complications already, let me refer. This one needs only brief intervention or extended brief intervention. And these hospitals can do. There are simple things that hospitals, so that we don't wait until they are that bad. Because by the time you are coming to see Dr. Koyejo, wow. It's by the time those first responders can do so much. And let's use schools as first responders.
Let me also add this. Sometimes when these drug addicts, especially the ones that are violent, that are aggressive. No, okay, sorry. Sorry about that choice of word. Okay, so when people who take to these substances, when they are brought to hospital, when they are aggressive and they are violent, sometimes a good number of hospitals will shy away from admitting those patients. They will ask you, go to this, go to that, go to this. The sight of such patients will actually instill fear into the members of staff. But that shouldn't be, okay, because they ideally should be the first responders. These are the places where they should be taken to and guided, not the village square, so that the person can get the right form of treatment. And of course, in hospital, just like she pointed out, they may have a number of things that will need to be urgently corrected.